Hello, everybody. My name's Chris Darcey. I just wanted to introduce this podcast really quick. I don't really have a name for it yet, but I think we're going to call it locally owned, something along those lines. But the goal of this is to promote local businesses and have the owners of those on the show. So introduce yourself, Jason.
Perfect. My name is Jason Flame. I'm the owner of Moorpark Karate Krav Maga. I'm also the chairman of the Moorpark Chamber of Commerce, and I've lived here in Moorpark since 1993, really.
Awesome. And what brought you to Moorpark initially?
So interesting, right? First thing was I graduated high school in 1992, and I didn't really have plans on going to school, although Moorpark College was always kind of like in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And I worked at I worked at several martial arts schools, and I worked at one that was in Westlake, Thousand Oaks, Westlake area, and I worked at one in Chatsworth. And so I would take the 23 and come through, but then you had to kind of go the back way to get back on the 118 and then take it out to Chatsworth, right? Or I had to go all the way around the 101.
Yeah.
So I kept kind of driving through Moorpark and thought, like, that's kind of a cool place. And then my cousin actually moved into what was then the Le Club apartments, and my parents moved away. And I was like, well, I'm not moving. They went to Oregon. I'm like, I'm not going to Oregon. So I'm like, called my cousin. Hey, Jim, dude, I need somewhere to live. Can I crash on the couch? And so like, that's literally how I came into Moorpark.
That's awesome. So kind of by chance, you just decided to stick around. And now how long have you been here?
So we've been in and out of Moorpark, but I mean, again, I moved here in 93. We lived in Simi Valley for a short period of time, but the majority of my career since then has been here in Moorpark.
Okay, awesome. And for everybody, I know you said it, but that doesn't know, he owns Moorpark Karate Krav Maga. When did you start that when you came in?
So our first classes were taught at the Arroyo Vista Recreation Center. It was being built as I moved here, and I remember going to the rec center because that's how I started martial arts. I started at the Thousand Oaks Recreation Center, and my instructor built his school from that rec center and then opened up. So when I had the plans and the thoughts of opening my own martial arts school, I thought, well, if it worked for him, it'll work for me. So I went to the rec center. It wasn't even built yet, but I put in my application to be one of the very first contracted instructors. So we started teaching at the Arroyo Vista Recreation Center back in 1994. I believe it was October of 1994.
Okay.
We built up our student base, and we opened the doors to our first facility, which was off Goldman Avenue. It was 5150 Goldman Avenue. I remember the address. And April of 1996, we opened the doors to that school.
Wow. Okay. And do you remember how many students you had when you first started?
I think we were somewhere around like 75 students because, again, it took me about a year and a half to build up a base from the rec center. So the majority of those students, especially if they'd been training with me for a while, were ready to take it to the next level because we only really had a couple days a week that we could offer classes at the rec center. So, opening our own facility, we would have access 6 days a week and several more classes. So we had probably about 75 people come into the school when we first opened it.
Okay, nice. And I mean, a lot has changed from that point till now, obviously. But when you initially started, how was the atmosphere in Moorpark treating you as far as a business owner?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the community and the atmosphere of Moorpark in general, I grew up in Newbury Park, and it reminds me of the early years of when I lived in Newbury Park. Small town, right? There were so many things that were not here then that are now, right? Even a bunch of the new apartment complexes, a lot of the shopping centers. I remember it being almost really simple and easy because I had a student. He happened to be a commercial real estate broker, and he was the one that helped me negotiate my first lease. I was 19 years old. I was just coming into being 20 years old. Yeah. I had no idea what negotiating a lease was. I had no idea what terms there were. So he negotiated everything. It seemed super simple. I remember, I think I had like maybe a couple $1,000s in the bank, maybe not even that. Wow. And all of that went to first and last. And those are the days of eating top ramen and eating tuna out of the can and that kind of
That's
stuff.
where I am now, by the way.
Right. So the atmosphere, it seemed very simple. I mean, I went down, applied for my license, signed the lease, I had my insurance, and I was off to the races. That's pretty much it.
That's awesome. And so, I mean, was that the first business you ever owned?
first business. I mean, I was just barely, between 19 and 20 years old. I have only ever professionally done martial arts. My dad was a builder, built custom homes, specialized in hillside construction, built houses all over Newbury Park. And I knew, having worked those summers doing construction, I'm not doing that. That just was not my thing. My middle brother actually, he followed in my dad's footsteps, and my youngest brother opened a martial arts school in our hometown in Newbury Park.
Nice.
So, it was the first business that I ever owned and have ever owned. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny. I don't know if you remember this, but when I was a kid and my brother was a kid, he's 2 years older, we actually took a class at your studio next to Troy's place.
Oh, okay.
Do you know the address of that?
So we're at 111 Poindexter.
Exactly.
111
yes,
Poindexter.
That's the one.
Yep.
So I remember you've been a staple in the community forever. So that's awesome that you're still around as well. I know you do more than just your own karate studio. So what else? You're on the Moorpark Chamber of Commerce, the head of that, right?
Right. So I've been a member of the Chamber of Commerce, off and on since I opened the business. But really, in the last, I would say 5 years, I've taken a big step in being more involved, because I was one of those guys that I was young when I got into business, right? And people suggested that I join the Chamber of Commerce. And first thing I noticed when I joined the Chamber of Commerce is, quite honestly, it was kind of older crowd. Didn't feel like I fit in at all. Did not feel like a professional at the time. So that's why I kind of went in and out. And as I gained more experience as a business owner and got more involved in the community, making the Chamber of Commerce something that was more welcoming and bringing a fresher face to the chamber, I thought was really important. I think that we've accomplished that so far just in the last year as being the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. I was on the board of directors for about a year and a half to 2 years before I took on the role as a chairman. And I learned from, some great people that were on the board, how it works. There's a lot more that goes into it. I mean, it's a volunteer position. It's not, I don't get paid to do it.
Yeah.
And our goal as a chamber is to help bring businesses together, bring the businesses and the schools together, and kind of everybody work together so that we have some great synergy in our community. So
yeah, and that's awesome, and you do a great job of it, and it reflects. So sorry to jump around a little bit, but I know you started your first business when you were 20 years old. It's a tough time right now with COVID going on. Of course, people are losing their jobs. So I know a lot of people are starting to try to open their own businesses as well. What were some challenges you had early on being 20 years old, opening your own business?
Yeah, I mean, at 20 years old, I had no money, no experience, no knowledge. The only thing I had was the passion. I wanted to teach martial arts so bad. I really loved teaching martial arts because I watched, I started teaching about 1990, 89, 90. I started kind of assisting my instructor and helping him teach classes. He gave me the opportunity to manage his school, Tia Westlake Karate in, like I said, in Thousand Oaks. Now, kind of bounce back and forth between Westlake and Thousand Oaks. Anyway, and so I gained a lot of experience just doing that, but really, when I got out to doing it on my own, I really had no freaking idea what I was doing. Yeah. I mean, by the seat of my pants, but it was the passion. I loved watching kids grow in martial arts. I loved watching the benefits that they get from martial arts because, it's kind of cliche for a martial artist to say this, but we teach more than kicking and punching, right? There's so much discipline and confidence and stress relief and so many different benefits to martial arts that people, they just don't know. They get into it for one reason, but then they're getting 5 more things out of it, right? Yeah. So for me, really, all I really had is a ton of passion and some excitement and energy. I just love being on the mat.
Yeah, and that's great because I'm glad you mentioned that. It's with a lot of things is it starts with, say, karate is what you're going for, but then you get so much more from it, say discipline, passion, whatever it may be. So that's you say you struggled a little bit when you were 20 years old starting the business. What kind of advice would you give another young person starting a business to get through that initial phase?
Yeah, the number one thing that I would say is always keep learning, always keep growing, always keep training, whatever your field is. And even more importantly is find a mentor that is doing better than you.
Yeah.
And I didn't find that until I was 10 years into my business.
Wow.
It took me 10 years to kind of literally fly by the seat of my pants and do things my way. And I had moderate success. In my mind, I was doing great.
Yeah.
But when I met other people that were doing really well in the martial arts industry, I joined a program or a company, Century Martial Arts, who's the largest wholesaler of martial arts equipment in the world. And they have a coaching consulting program. And I latched onto that because I met a group of men that highly, highly successful. I mean, you would never think that teaching martial arts, you could do what they were doing business-wise.
Got it.
And they've taken it to a whole new level. And I've been fortunate to be on that team for almost 12 years because I went from being a student of the game, learning that business, and then they hired me on as a consultant to now work with other school owners. And like I said, I've been doing that for almost 12 years now. So finding a mentor, I think, is huge because it cuts the learning curve. I mean, I made every mistake in the book.
Yeah.
Right? And if someone could help, it's like parents, your parents try to teach you stuff and cut your learning curve. And, I got it. I can do it. I mean, we've all been there. And same thing in business. You need a business mentor. You need someone that's going to help challenge you. You need someone that's going to help push you and someone ultimately that's going to teach you more than what you already know. Because what you know now only gets you to where you are now.
Yeah, exactly. And is that something you sought out? I mean, it took 10 years for you to find it. Was there like a driving force behind it?
I did. I have an instructor who, Mr. Mark Cox, who I trained with, since the time I was a kid. And he goes, "Hey, you should go check out this super show, the martial arts super show." And I'm like, whatever. And I honestly, when it came to business, martial artists are very fickle that way. It's like, you don't want to be a sellout, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, nah, I'm not really into that. And a little time went on and he said, "No, you really got to go check this out." So I went and checked it out and my eyes were just this big walking in the door because whatever field you're in, there's always those people that are at the top. And I'm literally walking from corner to corner, seeing those same people I idolize, not only in the martial arts field, as a martial artist physically, but as a business owner. There are just people that I had heard of that, to me, they were celebrities.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I went there. I wanted to find out, what is this all about? And then as soon as I attended my first, what we call an elite seminar, an introductory to the elite group, and simply named, right? I was sold. I'm just like, I got to be with these guys because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, so we'll transition a little bit. So bring it to current day. You're still teaching martial arts. You're still doing this. You're still with the Chamber of Commerce. Now, obviously, there's this little thing called COVID that's kind of disrupted the local business scene and much more on top of that as well. What have you done to kind of stick around during that time and still operate your business? How have you fought the tide with this?
Well, I mean, as a martial artist, I mean, I'm a fighter by instinct. I have two choices. I could just shell up and crawl in a corner and hide, or I can, roll up my sleeves, clench my fists, work a little bit harder. And that's what we decided to do from day one. And just every time I like to say the goalpost gets moved, every time that happens, we just keep finding a way to pivot, adjust, refocus, and move forward. Right. Yeah. It's kind of like a football player, when he's running up the field, he knows he's going to run into someone that wants to hit him.
Yep.
So you take that hit, or you juke, or you just kind of roll it off and keep on going. There's been so many things. So many things that have been challenging for us. Number one, when the very first shutdown occurred to where we could not do any classes in person, we quickly and immediately went to Zoom. So we went 90 days of teaching 100% of all of our classes online via Zoom. And I cannot give enough credit to my instructors as far as how quickly they adapted to that. As a matter of fact, one of them in particular, Mr. John Ha, who is teaching all our classes on Zoom, I've watched him go from kind of a shyer, quiet, calm kid to someone that you'd think he was a movie star because the way he's able to act and interact with the kids on screen. He just has this knack. And, to me, that's an awesome skill that he's going to have forever.
Yeah.
Whether he continues to work for us or moves in the future somewhere else, he's going to have some awesome skills utilizing that. So then we were allowed to have classes outdoors. And my instructors, Josh Filgaris, Gavin Mazer, two of my kids that, I say kids, they're in their 20s. But they've been with me since they were like,
exactly.
8, 9, 10 years old. And so they're teaching all our outdoor classes and they're killing it. I mean, they're working with the physical distancing that's required. We're actually incorporating a lot more parents into our classes, which is great because, we can't have everybody interacting as much as we'd like to. So it's like, hey, mom, dad, come on out. Just like we would do in AYSO or Little League. Go play catch with your kid. Go kick the ball with your kid. Come out, hold the target for your kid to do martial arts. So that's been really good. But, I mean, we went from having nothing indoors whatsoever, then being outdoors and indoors. So talk about staff-wise. I mean, so now I'm used to having 2 to 3 instructors running a class. I've got to have one outside, one inside. One's kind of trying to fill the middle. I mean, it's been really challenging, but every time we adjust, my team steps up, they're able to fill the void. And then, in the back and forth has really hurt the consistency with the students, right? Because they're used to a schedule and they're used to a certain, routine. And then, oh no, you got to go on Zoom. Oh no, you got to go outside.
Now it can be in person.
Yeah. And it's like, and when we're outside, we had to deal with some gnarly winds the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. I'm worried about the rain coming up. What are we going to do when it rains, right? Because we don't have cover.
Yeah.
So there's just been a lot of things. And then, it's like even recently we've had some backlash, to be honest with you. We've had people taking pictures, taking videos, complaining that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. And it's like,
as far as what was the problem?
As far as just doing our business outside, which is, all 100% in compliance and in line with what's been handed down to us. And I mean, at the end of the day, the reality is none of this is law. None of this has been, hard and fast. The police aren't policing it.
Yeah.
And still we stay within those parameters.
Yeah.
And we say it all the time, right? Haters going to hate all the time, right? And so
wrong.
what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But that makes it difficult. Because people that, maybe give us a bad review or maybe people that post online or something, I mean, that hurts our reputation.
Yeah.
So all of that and just the constant battle of, are we doing the right thing? Are we doing everything we can, not only for our students, but are we continuing to do everything we can for our community?
Yeah.
Because obviously, as you know, I'm very involved in other aspects other than, just teaching martial arts.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know nobody can see the future. I mean, it's already been so insane what's been happening. Like, nobody could have predicted this. How do you see yourself and your business and your students coming out on the other side, whenever that is?
Yeah. I can already tell you that our business is stronger in a lot of ways now than it was prior to COVID starting, right? We've learned a lot of things and made a lot of adjustments that are only going to help us with better retention in the future. I don't care if we have to teach in a tree, in a parking lot, on the roof, or on the moon. We're going to continue to teach martial arts. I think that Zoom is here to stay for quite a while. And, we have plans that we'll be continuing Zoom classes and teaching martial arts classes online through potentially June of next year.
And that brings up a question for me. I'm sure Zoom has opened up a lot of potential business opportunities for you as well. I mean, it may have started out as an inconvenience, but how you looked at Zoom as a way to expand your business and teach people further away that aren't in the community?
We've had the opportunity to do that. I haven't really put into full effect, trying to recruit outside of our area or outside of, because, there's martial arts schools all over the place, right? So if they're already doing Zoom. Now, the things that we have been able to do is we've had some students that have moved since this started and they wanted to stick with us. Cool.
Yeah.
Someone moved to Idaho, someone moved to Texas, moving to Arizona, wherever they go. I mean, moving just a couple counties over, whatever, we still have the opportunity for them to stay with us.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I even had a student who enrolled recently knowing that they potentially will move within the next 6 to 12 months. And they're like, well, we want to stick with you no matter what.
Yeah.
So we hope that you're going to continue Zoom. So it's expanded for sure. It's allowed us to do meetings a lot easier rather than having to drive to and from. It's also helped us with private lessons where we can do one-on-one lessons. I've even had a friend of mine from Colorado teach some of our students or teach my staff members from a different state. So that's really expanded, but I really don't. And who knows if I'll change my mind in the next 90 days or whatever, if I'm going to try to expand outside of our area. Cause again, there's so many martial arts all over the country, they have their area and we're pretty respectful of our area, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's important. But you just never know what might change. There are a lot of different possibilities of what can go, what we can do with Zoom.
Yeah. And that's a great way to make a negative turn into a positive because there's so many different avenues that you can now use, like you said, teach people from further away. So again, to switch gears, as a small business owner yourself and as one who helps so many other small business owners in the community, how have, say, the restaurant business owners, as you've seen, been affected by this? And how important do you think it is? I mean, everyone says shop local.
Right.
How important do you really believe it is?
Oh, 100%. I mean, our small mom and pop shops all over Moorpark in the Ventura County area, you read social media and you read just the news in general, and you hear about a restaurant that's really struggling or having a hard time. Most recently in Chatsworth, Los Toros comes to mind, and that place has been a staple of Chatsworth for 50 years.
Yeah.
How does a business like that, why does a business like that have to suffer so badly to where they're potentially going to close? We've watched businesses already here in Moorpark close because of this. Personal feelings aside, I really truly believe that if we can make a way to support them safely, I think it's so important because you've got these corporations, large chains that have the support from all over the country. I mean, California is pretty tight, locked up, but there's a lot of places that are not. So those places that are doing well everywhere else are just supporting the ones here, but nobody's supporting that mom and pop other than the people that are in that family, the people that are in that business. And I posted just the other day that it's heartbreaking to know that someone's dream of owning their own business, someone's blood, sweat, and tears that went into a business to build it. Because I know what it takes to build a business and have that taken away from you. It's a travesty.
Yeah.
And I think that we can, whether it's a to-go order or, delivery, whatever you can do. I mean, if it's deemed not safe to eat inside or outdoors, I think that there's still a lot of ways that we can continue to support them. But I tell you, anybody that's staying open right now and doing what they can, I'm trying to support them as much as I can. I had lunch today at Taste of Punjab.
I love that place.
You had Surf Boba today.
Boba.
So, my friends over at Lucky Fool's Pub, the Shields, got to support them always. They made a killer chili verde.
We're trying to get Michael on the podcast.
Oh,
too.
get him on. Yeah, get him on. I'll talk to him.
Okay. That's awesome, man. Well, I feel like that's a good place to end it. Once again, guys, shop local, please. It's very important for everybody, not just for the people who own it, but for the community as well. Jason, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks for everything you do.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.